All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again. This is round number 3, Hot Rockets Racing Club Porsche Cup. My name is Victor Cax. Joining me here is Edward Hunter, and we're going to be your commentators for today as we take to round number 3 here of this Porsche Cup, taking place on the iconic Watkins Glen International track here. It's going to be an interesting race today, isn't it? Given that it's going to be wet qualifying session, wet race number 1, and then later on, dry race number 2.
Absolutely, and lots of interesting things at stake here, not just in terms of personal glory, but also in terms of the grand prize. In particular, there's the pole position watch that's up for stakes today, up for grabs today, rather, and Luca Martino, who, of course, as we see it on screen now, lovely little Revelo R8 racer, which is for the driver who sets most pole positions over the 5 rounds. Luca Martino set 2 of those pole positions so far. He's going for number 3, and if you get 3 out of 5, that's a pretty mathematically unbeatable position, as you know, Victor, as many of our viewers will know, because they're pretty good at maths as well, I imagine.
Yeah, it's really simple maths. Like 3 is bigger than 2 for sure. And yeah, if Luca Martino pulls off another pole position here today, he goes home with that watch straight away. So it's going to be exciting to see whether he's going to be able to pull it off. But there's certainly going to be a lot of contenders for this pole, because got 15 drivers up in this track right now, all currently out there practicing on the wets here. It's going to be extremely, I'm not sure it's extremely, but it's going to be a really difficult kind of like lap to do, because Watkins Glen in general, very, very fast. It's got lots of like tricky corners as well, bad camber on some of them. And I'm going to be expecting to see like some people sliding, as we already saw a few of them slide out early.
Yeah, the only saving grace, Victor, is that they don't have the chicane at the end. It's the boot layout, essentially. So at the end of that straight, if you did have that chicane, you have a lot of very greasy curbs looking to spin you out if you spin up the rear tires a bit too early or unsettle the car. So that is one less challenge in terms of qualifying to worry about. But in the race, that is going to lead to a fair bit of slipstreaming, especially when the track dries out when we get to the reverse grid race 2, of course.
Yeah, I mean, like, the fact there's no chicane means that, the purpose of why they removed the chicane was to do a little bit more slipstream actions, basically off of like the back straight. It's just going to be straight all the way. No need the chicane by the time you get to the outer loop itself. So kind of a classic layout. Think about it, isn't it? It's like, I don't remember when's the last series that actually ran on this track here that does not use that chicane layout.
Formula 1 in 1975?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about. It's like, this is like really old school, but like with the new school, like 992 GD3s, sorry, the GD3 Cups here. It's going to be interesting race here for sure.
Yeah, let's ride on board then with Nur Shazlihan for Playbox Volturi Racing. Of course, he's got a few podiums this season. We just about to keep out of the wall there as he goes through the S's and now onto that long straight, back straight that we were just talking about. So this is the part where you can relax just a little bit, because it's a private session. Of course, you haven't got to worry about the other cars around you, if I remember correctly. Yeah, there we go. And immediately going into the boot. And it's such a long, constant radius right-hander, and it's banked as well. So you can carry that little bit more speed as well than you would otherwise. Apart from in the wet, where if you get the line wrong, then potentially you're understeering off and into the wall.
Yeah, but then again, given it is wet as well, I think most drivers will tend to try to find where the grip is on the track, and it may not necessarily. That's the thing. You'll typically want to try to find a wet line through this place, and R Factor 2 is really good as well with their wet driving physics. So you also have to watch out for standing water, all of that kind of jazz, and that's kind of challenge that Salizan is going to do here. He wants to pull. So far, so good. I've not seen him have any big moments so far in the lap, and it seems pretty on track now to complete a nice clean lap here as we come around towards the main grandstand area now. First up,
the only problem is that both Martino and Saido Vaya have both gone faster than him. There we go. Martino
here we go.
The line. Yeah. 156.8. There we go. Fastest in the first sector, and I believe the final sector as well. Let's see where Shaz Lijan is going to end up there as Zulquanin and Drizki and Hazik all set lap times as well in the top 4. And Shaz Lijan at least 9 tenths off of Dzikri. Am I pronouncing it right?
Zikri. I think it's just Zikri. I think the D might be
silent D.
Yeah, it's okay. It's all right. Foreign names always like trip me up a lot. Like the hardest names I've ever had to like use in the commentary were both like Indian names and Thai names. Like Thai names especially are so tricky. So many syllables like in surname.
Yeah, you can trip over yourself if you're not careful.
Yeah, sorry.
But thankfully, this is the 3rd round, so we are starting to get to grips of things. And is that good old our former commentator Thomas Rasch I see on the entry list as well? He's set a lap.
I think so, yeah.
4 seconds off the pace. But
well,
that's great to see Thomas. For Ali Swinegel Racing. Is that a team he's made up?
Nice. Yeah.
Because I would have thought he'd be driving for my team, Hunter Burt Simulation, but like he does in ERC. or for Reading Game, because me and Tom Dillon sort of have a co-partnership. Where he sort of drives to both of us. But anyway, it seems he's got a 3rd team on the books, which is fair enough, with less than 10 minutes to go. And Rasch sits he's a little bit off his best in both sectors. So that's the problem. You do often hit a bit of not a skill ceiling, but a lap time ceiling with the track not really improving all that much, where you're just slipping and sliding and the time is ebbing away from you. And look at those windscreen wipers working overtime on the front of the 992 Porsche GT3 Cup car. Yeah, we are at 50% rain conditions. Martino, I believe, is... There's Via in the Zancho car completely spinning out. But Martino, I believe, has gone a tenth faster, 56.765. He's ahead of Via, who we saw just struggling to beat that lap time in the number 4 car. Then it is Scalvini, Nur Shazlihan in 4th, Sharik Zulquan in 5th, Hazik is 6th, Zikri is 7th, Zini is 8th, Jian Lei is 9th. We know he thrives in these wet conditions, and Jay Wong currently rounds out the top 10 then. And so Luca Martino currently is 6 hundredths of a second ahead of Side Over and doing everything he needs to secure that watch.
That's a big one. That was a big one.
That shows just how he can't afford to rest on his laurels, though. He's got to really push to make that gap as big as he can.
Yeah,
and, we know it's going to be wet in the race as well. So even the drivers lower down, if they can get some laps under their belt, it could sort of help them know what to expect when we get into the race proper, where the lines are, where might be good spots to overtake as well. Potentially, you can maybe find the grip around the outside on a couple of these longer corners, especially not that laying the road down in qualifying. If you just keep going on that line, the rain is still falling, so it's going to clear if you do that in between sessions. So, but still.
No, it's like between Martino and Wire, like they're basically trading like tenths off of each other. I think like when Wire was still in provisional pole, he was like basically about 5 hundredths of a second, like ahead of Luca. Now that Luca is already like, we're just seeing both of them literally push each other like to the edge, to the limit of their abilities right now. Getting a little bit loosey-goosey out on the track here, but nevertheless, that's certainly going to be giving Luca a run for his money, or rather, run for his watch right now. Because remember, if Wire actually picks up the pole position here, then Luca's going to have to try next round. Secure that R8 Revelot.
And that's Scalvini going very, very wide at the, I believe that's the outer loop in the boot sort of section. And now he's into the chute, and Scalvini, definitely one of the drivers, stepping the rear out and in the Simfream car, able to extract a little bit more grip from places you might not expect him to, it seems, judging by the lap time he's put down, which is only about a tenth and a half off of Martino's current pole position time. But like you say, Martino, he's got one hand on, not with the watch on, but certainly about to put the watch on at this rate with 6 minutes remaining, unless Via, Scalvini, Shazlihan, or anyone else has something to say about that. And looking at the sector times at the moment, lots of personal bests, no purples from anyone but Martino.
Yeah, I mean, Sharik Zulquan 9, just last weekend was competing in TGR, and he had a really interesting experience, I have to say. Like, the TGR series, if you're not familiar with, it's the it's Malaysia's own like touring car series, where they basically run the Toyota Vios cars. So they're basically these like these what do you call it? Saloon cars, basically, that's just been converted for racing. Oof, that's a tight one there.
Zelkon and just through that high speed 2 and 3, just absolutely stepping out. Seems everyone is doing that as well. Not sure it's going to help him too much on lap time all the way down this straight, but yeah, there we go. 5 tenths off of his best time in the first sector there.
Yeah, so like Sukan 9.
Anyway,
like,
TGR.
TGR, yeah, he competed in TGR and had was looking quite good. Like he was looking up for a 5th. Oh, spun and it just I think touched the grass a little bit on the outside. That's a
rear wing.
That's a rear wing gone.
Want to put back on. Yeah, and that was very odd. He dropped it mid corner there, so I think he just hit a puddle or just started to aquaplane, getting on the power too early.
Yeah, it's so tricky in these kind of like wet conditions, isn't it? And Tariq as well, like at first he started off really well in the race, like was actually keeping up with some of the more senior drivers, like people who were racing in that series for like years, and he's competing quite well against them. It's just that like towards the end of the race, he started losing a lot of grip, and just like in here, he was like sliding all over the place and struggling to find a grip on the track. And I think like he'd probably be relieved coming into this series here, coming into this car now, because it's a lot more higher powered. Like the Vios only puts out like 110 horsepower at most, and you're only going like 170 on the main straight. So these cars are certainly way more powerful, way more of a handful to play off.
Yeah. A very visual illustration there, and I'm sorry, Victor. I'm not sure if this is the same on stream, but you're cutting out ever so slightly on my end
yeah.
now and again, but mostly it's okay. So we'll just carry on, I think. But there we go. Just a visual illustration there of what happens when you get just a little bit too wide on the exit from the outer loop there into the boot. And you can just find yourself absolutely losing control on the outside. Ideal, especially not just in the wet, but in the dry as well, just to keep the wheels away from the grass and bits of AstroTurf on the outside if you can help it as well, because they can be quite vicious in these conditions. You see how shiny they are on stream, and they're pretty shiny for the tyres as well, because they just keep spinning off them, it would seem, as we see Martino starting another run and not yet able to improve on that 156.7 though.
Yeah, only like a 600 of a second like lead to a wire right now. I think it's not a comfortable one. He definitely wants to try to push it even further, as further up as possible. But that's the thing about like Watkins Glen as well. A lot of these corners, because it's so fast. Yeah, and it's so easy for you to overspeed your way through some of these corners here and actually catch a bad exit, as like Sharik has unfortunately experienced earlier on. But with Luca Martino right now seems to be handling it pretty well, even though he went a little bit wide off turn. Now we're coming up to this section here. I think this is like the outer loop area now. So yeah, no chicane here, which means that it's pretty much a straight drop through into the boot section here. And so tricky. That's a lot of close call there, I think, Luca. Dipping a little bit of his tires into onto the outside of that exit just now, but seems to have it under control for now.
Yeah, I think he went. We saw him go off track at the first corner there, and that's really what's compromised his first sector here. 2 minutes left to go, so that really shut him there. Another snap there, there, trying to escape the boot section essentially, and that really shows all the forces acting on this car that Martino is just trying to delicately balance and stay in the middle of. And this, like you say, all these fast corners, it's hard enough in a GD car, a Porsche 992 that hasn't got the downforce of, say, an open wheeler Formula 1 car or an Indy car. But in the wet, you've got even less grip to play with, so you've really got to tiptoe around some of these corners and build up your confidence. At the moment, 3 drivers yet to set a time. Yongjan, Adi Daniel, I believe, has a grid penalty from the previous race, if I'm not mistaken, and Ruben Rong. As we look at Via, who is still the closest challenger to Martino, I think realistically one of the very few that could deny him securing that lovely Revelo watch today.
Yeah.
And Via, he definitely will feel determined, but I think it's a case of maybe Martino just has that little bit too much advantage, and it seems with the track's not getting any better, let's put it that way, and it seems like no matter how much rubber they lay down, the rain keeps washing it away, and the lap times just aren't generally improving for a lot of these guys.
Exactly. Like so far, I mean, gaps wise, they're not too far
Although
away
I'd
from
say
each
that
other. Yeah.
Thomas Rasch has just set a 2 minutes 0.4
Ah.
to get up to 11th from 13th. So great lap by Thomas there.
Yeah, almost breaking that 2 minute barrier now. Thomas is like only like 4/10 of that right now. So good to see for that. But for everyone else far, I mean, like I was saying, gaps between these guys are not too far apart actually. Save for like John actually being like 1.4 seconds off from like the leader right now, but everyone else like from Mohamed Zini, Mohamed Zikri, Ahmad Hazik, the Shari
Martino's
Zulkarnain.
gone in. So with
Martino's gone in.
less than
Oh,
20 seconds to go. So that means Martino is done. Shazlihan is done
mm,
as well.
I
So
think I think Wire is still out
Zulkarnain
on
is
track.
at 158. So I think Vaya is the only one left then that we got to wait on. I think they could realistically challenge Zulkarnain, who I think he might have just crossed the line in time. So this might be Zulkarnain's final lap, and he's about 2/10 of his best. I'm looking at Vaya. Vaya's in the pit lane. There we go. He set a not a good enough lap time to beat Martino, unfortunately. So I think, and we'll wait till for Zulkarnain. Scalvini also has a massive moment there in the sim frame, but that's going to be third place for him. So good effort by Gianluca Scalvini, I think, to get his first onto the second row. Zulkarnain drops it, and that is surely going to be any chance of taking pole position gone. But look at him hanging the rear out. He's certainly having fun out there, but it's not the kind of fun that's going to lead to that watch going his way, is it?
Yeah, he's decided to scrap that lap anyway, knowing that he's rather improving his time right now. So looks like it is it. Revlon R8 racer going to Luca Martino, taking 3 poles so far in this Porsche Cup, and he's gonna be so happy having pulled that off now. I mean, again, seeing him like race over the last time we commentated on this together, like I could clearly tell like he was really gunning for that, wasn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. Even in the very, very first practice session at Zandvoort, he was just absolutely going for it and laying the marker down. And yeah, so his qualifying pace, it's definitely not been in doubt that he is one of the it's do or die with Luca Martino, and that's why he's so much fun to watch in qualifying. In the races, though, will be interesting. It feels a little bit more even between these guys because it's race pace. Obviously, you've got heavier tank of fuel in this Porsche, so it's kind of levels the playing field a little bit, and with that straight they can slipstream each other a little bit more. I think Saido Vea might fancy his chance of improving his standings in the championship even if the pole position watch is gone. We've got the bigger watch for the winner of the Drivers' Championship here still to come, which I believe is another Revelo one. Because they're a lovely sponsor, and they've supplied not just one watch, but 2 watches. So there's still another watch to go. And I think Luca Martino is saying, I've got 2 arms. I can put a watch on both of them.
They could, like, use one for like local time and then another one for like international time or something. I guess. I don't know what we'll do with 2 watches on my hands though. But nevertheless, that is qualifying already done and dusted here in this round number 3. So this will be the order in which the drivers will be taking the start later on for race number 1. It is still also going to be in wet conditions, just like this one here. So it's going to be a very interesting first race here, especially when we see the caliber of drivers that we have here. Of course, got Luca Martino and Sid Wire just basically just jousting each other for that pole position, and Luca Martino, of course, taking the top position right now. Gianluca Scavini, a very, very good effort to take third place here ahead of Nur Shalizan. Sharik Zulkarnain is on ahead of Ayman Hazik, as well as Mohammad Zikri, as well as Mohammad Zini. Then you got Tengku Jan Lei currently in P9, and the thing about him is that, in wet conditions, he, especially during races, he can be a very, very formidable opponent to have. So it's going to be someone to watch out for in these conditions here for sure. Then in 10th place, you got Jay Wong. Tomas Rashka managed to get himself up into 11th place, just shy of that, getting to the top 10, but certainly is going to giving Jay a hard time for sure over there. Then we got Nabil Jalil, Tengku Ezan Lei, the brother of Jan Lei, here in 13th place. Gary Husni in 14th. Yongjin, Adi Daniel, and Wong runs up the bottom 3 right now, and that is all 17 drivers now getting ready for their grid start here in race number 1.
Yeah, and I've just been sent by Thomas Raschke some info about Schwinegel Racing. It is German. It's not just a team he's made up. They've been competing since I think at least 2015. So I apologise to Mark Sturvke and the founders and principals, Fabian Hoffman at Repsol Schwinegel Racing, because Thomas Rasch clearly a very valued member, and I didn't realise that it wasn't just something he made up just so he had his own team. But anyway, should be very interesting. The three at the back, who didn't set a time. I wonder if there's a back of the grid penalty for them anyway. I'm trying to see if I can find the list of the penalties applied from Road America last time out. But I believe there was definitely somebody who got sent to the back or had some kind of group penalty. But I'll look for it and let you know if I can find it. But certainly. Luca Martino and Side Vert are going to be the two to watch, aren't they? As we see the warm-up in session.
Yep. Everyone going on for one more time to recce the track conditions here. Of course, you can see it's so wet out there. The mist thrown out by these cars is going to throw another extra danger, really, because the mist will complicate things as far as visibility goes on this track here. Oh, already crashing out in the back there, as one of the guys apparently slid out a little bit and couldn't quite get his car back in control. So we're going to be expecting to see a bit of that, especially these warm laps here. Of course, it's just an opportunity for these drivers right now to get a grips with the race conditions they will be racing in later on. So can always just forgive them for the slight mistake every now and then for this warm-up lap here. And now we have 3 minutes to go in this warm-up lap right now. Again, this is the third round of the Hot Pockets racing series here for the Porsche Cup. There's still going to be 2 more rounds after this. Make sure you guys don't miss out on that. If I can just pull the list here. Next round is going to be in the in Bahrain GP, so it's going to be a dry desert track here instead of the wet Watkins Glen that we have over here. Then round number 5, the final round will be in Sepang GP, and that's going to be a really interesting race here. The Malaysian drivers here, no doubt, are very familiar with that track, and certainly have raced there themselves quite a few times. Nevertheless, still, as of right now in this round number 3 here, it's going to be mostly, I think, a big battle up in the front there. We've got Martino, Wire, Scalvini all taking that top tree right now. Shalizan and 9 are both like the top drivers right now from Malaysia here, who are placing in that top 5. And I'm hoping to see whether or not they'll be able to keep a challenge going to the top 3 here. At least in terms of pace, it seems that it's quite doable. And naturally, wet conditions like this is always an equalizer for all of these drivers here. And you know, with the natural and with the natural sort of taking this fast track under these wet conditions, you know, it's certainly going to be a lot of.
Yeah, certainly, Victor. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
Just checking. There we go. So you look at Gareth Husni. I believe Husni, and unfortunately Jan Ley's got a 5-place group penalty from the previous round for causing a couple incidents. I think Husni has one as well. It might be slightly more severe. So Husni, who's already, I think, starting to back because he missed qualifying, and Jan Ley, who qualified 9th, is going to actually start, I think, 16th, then, if I've got that right.
I see. Well, at least for Jan, it's like, again, back in, he also competes in TGR as well.
14th, not 16th.
14th.
9 plus 5 is 14, isn't
it? Yeah, correct, that's correct.
Sorry, it's a bit harsh that Jan Ley probably thought was having a heart attack when he heard me say that.
Yeah, probably. But again, historically, like you sometimes can really thrive in these. Even when he starts in the back, he's in TGR. He's done that like a couple of times now, where he would start somewhere in like 10th, but he would just work his way to the front, just slipstreaming off of everyone, you know. And especially in these kind of wet conditions here, you know, he's his nickname is the Prince of Drift. He literally knows how to keep his car sliding and under control, even in the worst of conditions. So I'm going to be expecting to see whether or not he'll be able to pull off the same kind of thing here in the virtual world as he does in the real world. So that will be something that I'll, certainly go. nevertheless, warm-up is just about to finish off here, ladies and gentlemen, and ready to get started with our first race here on Watkins Glen International. This is the non-chicane layout. Again, there's no inner loop. Just go straight away to the outer loop and into the boot here. So you're going to be seeing a lot of slipstreaming action here. You're going to be a lot of slip and sliding here for sure with these wet conditions. And for the drivers, you know, a lot is going to be at stake here. You know, pole position watch has already been taken by Luca Martino, but it's still the R10 rev lot, still up for grabs for the winner of the championship here. So placing in that podium here is still going to be the utmost. It's pretty much going to be the target, I think, for everyone here in this race.
Absolutely, and there's the overall target for the championship, the good old Revelo R10 Admiral. So you better make sure you salute the Admiral, otherwise you probably won't be allowed to wear it. But anyway, is that a thing with Revelo? I'm not sure. But it is now, apparently. But anyway, crucial in these low grip conditions, really, to get a clean start. It's going to be so chaotic, especially on this first lap, with all 17 cars muscling for position. I think a couple of them are going to come to grief, almost certainly, if Zandvoort and, of course, if Road America were anything to go by, Victor.
Yeah, well, we'll see if history is going to repeat itself, I suppose.
Especially the guys at the very, very back who are only just finishing off their first laps of the circuit in these conditions. So the likes of Yong Jan, who I don't think set any laps at all in the warm-up either. So, yeah, it's going to be quite an adventure for him. I think Jay Wong, I can't remember where he qualified. I think he might be another one of those guys who had to misqualify. And then, of course, you've got your, at least Jan Lay has set quite a few laps. And then Husni has set a lap as well, 2 minutes 02. So he has got one on the board. So I think all three of the guys who didn't set a lap have at least done some exploration. So everyone's got some experience to fall back on. But that's not going to matter when we get the race underway, is it? Experience goes out the window.
Yeah.
And we get going on.
When it comes to that T1 and lap 1, you know, it's like who dares first goes, you know. It's
and who bails out for the outside and just tries to stay out of everyone's way.
Yeah, pretty much. And with 17 drivers going to be starting out on this first race here, I mean, it can be chaotic. Not gonna lie, it certainly is a recipe for that here. Like, all the ingredients are certainly here for like a really spicy race for sure. So again, this is going to be an interesting one. I hope it's going to be certainly entertaining for all you guys watching at home. And make sure you guys follow the Facebook page here for Hot Rockets if you guys want to stay notified whenever they have club activities. They usually have gatherings all the time, you know, going to go-kart tracks or going to sim racing centers all around Malaysia here. But they also are holding competitions like this in the form of this Porsche Cup for one. They also do watch parties as well. They're like fully online racing club, and so just go ahead and give them a follow, give them a lot of love here, you know. Certainly looking forward to see what else they will have in store for us, you know, in the coming months for sure. But for now, Watkins Glen race number 1 is going to be underway very, very soon.
I'd love to participate in those meets, but unfortunately, living in the UK and not Malaysia sort of prohibits it. It's a geographic. There's a big ocean in the way, unfortunately.
More than a few oceans, actually.
Yeah. There's a vast geographical distance to cover, but there are planes exist. Maybe we can find an excuse to get on one. But anyway. For now, like you say, the rain is falling. We're still at 50% wet track. The grid is forming, and let there be carnage, is what I say.
All right, so okay, that's interesting. This is the actual starting grid here because John seems to be starting in that 9th place though.
Maybe that 5th place penalty has been rescinded then. maybe
might be so. So okay, at least that's basically like 5 additional grid positions that he doesn't have to go and overtake later on in the race. That's for sure. But yeah, this looks like this is going to be the starting grid, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to be a race number 1 on Watkins Glen. Driver's going to be going out. It's going to be a rolling start for sure, especially in these conditions here. Certainly it will the drivers will want to have a rolling start instead of standing one, especially going to that first turn. But yeah, as we have mentioned, Luca Martino taking his third pole position in the Hot Pocket Porsche series here, so he goes home with the R8 Revelot, regardless of how this race is going to turn out for him. So shout out to Luca Martino for pulling that off. Nevertheless, his biggest rival, I think, on the track is going to be one starting next to him, which is going to be Sierra Wire, who has shown that he's at least able to keep up in terms of pace with Luca Martino. Then we got Gianluca Scavini and Lourdes Chalizan in the row behind him, Sharik Zulkarnain and Ahmad Hazik just behind. And yeah, with all of them coming out on track right now, I mean, what do you think is probably like in the minds of some of these drivers here as they go on this lap? Are they already like starting to think about strategies on how to survive turn one, or are they just pretty much more focused on just getting this race done and over with, I think?
Well, someone like Adi Daniel or Ruben Wong at the very back is almost, especially Adi Daniel, who I think was responsible for a massive pile-up at the end of Zandvoort, and so he's racing under sort of suspended ban at the moment. He's probably thinking of that. Otherwise, everyone else is just thinking, right, I've just got to make sure I've got the tyres as warm as I can, make sure I'm not going to run out of fuel before the end of the race, all those last little checks. Because in the wet, you might often try and under-fuel the car as well, because you don't need as much fuel in the wet, because you're going a lot slower. So a couple of people might take a bit of a gamble there, but to get that small advantage of having a less heavy car in the wet. But other than that, I think it's mainly usual sort of stuff, and it's mainly just sort of maybe feeling out a little bit where is the grip on some of these corners at this moment in time, because it definitely looks like the track is sort of reset just after qualifying, but still quite a dry line is going to emerge, even if the rain keeps falling just a little bit. So if you got to stick to that line, because if you go off it, you could find yourself spinning and struggling for traction, as we see it many, many times in qualifying. But Via is now lining up right with Martino. He's not waiting for the rest of the pack to appear. Looks like Scalvini is a little bit further behind, but these two very much in each other's sights. And I think Via knows he's gonna make himself the main threat today, especially into turn one. If he can get a good run on the inside, then it could be a very, very interesting first lap.
Okay, so I stand corrected. It is going to be a standing start. It looks like with everyone lining up the grid right now. Yeah, it's all right. It's all good. We're all looks like everyone's getting themselves readied up right now. Everyone's in their positions here. I think looks like the grid penalty does come true here. I see John Lay currently in 14th place right now, so he's gonna have a lot to fight through here in order to get up into the paces for sure. Yongjian, Daniel, and Ruben Wong will be looking to try to survive this first turn there. If they do, it's going to be a really good race here. 20 minutes is going to be the mark here. The time is coming up. And looks like it's going to be a go now. Luca Martino getting a good start there, actually. See the wire actually looking like he's falling back a little bit, because Scalvini trying to find an opportunity to get in between there, but can't quite find a gap though as Luca Martino closes the door coming through that first turn. Sharik Zulkarnain a little bit loose on the outside there coming out of turn one. Now they're coming through turn two here. Already got Gareth getting a little bit too wide off, and fortunately is able to get himself back inside. Luca Martino leading the entire pack here. Scalvini actually gets past Wire right now. He's up into the P2 as see the Wire is now trying to keep himself ahead of Zulkarnain here. Everyone else is trying to follow each other through the line at the moment. It is looking pretty good so far. No major incidents coming through that first turn. I think that's certainly to the relief of all 17 drivers right now out on track.
Yeah, there we go. We're just looking at Thomas Rash, who's got himself from 11th up to 9th and just holding off Jan Lay right behind him there. So that's going to be an interesting little battle. But Via at the first corner just didn't make a great start off the line, and that opened the door for Scalvini, who's now in the lead ahead of Martino, only temporarily. But a big crash between Rash and I think that's Jan Lay.
Yeah, Rash and Jan Lay contacted each other just now over the straight there.
Scalvini round the outside at the boot. Lovely move there by Gianluca, and that is not what Martino wanted at all. Scalvini has made an absolute rocket of a first lap, and now Via having a look at Martino to depose him from second.
Yeah, Martino now having to move the defense. Scalvini a little bit loose on the exit there, but he's already widened up the gap now in the lead there. Luca Martino's certainly having his hands full right now, trying to keep Wire just behind him right now. The top three looking like they're going to be in a nice tight battle here in these first few laps for sure. Shalizan, Zulkarnain, and Ahmad Hazik are also locked into their own three-way battle as well as the top three start to pull away.
Look at that message on screen. Penalty for Gianluca Scalvini. And is that for cutting the track potentially, or overtaking off track, gaining an advantage? It's one of the two. But that means Martino is going to re-inherit the lead then. So all that brilliant start from Scalvini will come to nothing as we look at what happened to Thomas Raschke. He lost it and hit a collected Jan Lei, and then gets collected by the pack as well, including Husni, Jan Lei's brother, Tengu Ezanlei. And poor young Jan is just absolutely put to a standstill there as well.
Oh, dude, he collected so many people, like he was collecting eggs in the basket there, practically. Now he's like 17th place down, he lost his spoiler.
Thomas Raschke has immediately made himself unpopular with the second half of the field.
Yeah. Oh, that's so unfortunate.
44 seconds down on the lead now, so I think Raschke going to the pits for repairs. But Scalvini now is in the unenviable position where he's got to come in and serve that penalty, as Haziq is having a look at the inside of Zulkarnain as they approach into the boot section. Through the outer loop they go.
Yeah, Zulkarnain struggling to find a grip on the exit there, and that's opened up the opportunity now for Ayman to continue to keep the pressure on him the whole time now, and looks like he's again having a look on the inside, still not able to get alongside Zulkarnain yet, which is why he isn't able to take the position quite yet, but looks like it might be sooner rather than later. Oh, Zulkarnain getting a little bit slidey there through that corner, and Cena slowed down a little bit. Has a little bit of a concertina going on there between this all these four cars right now. It's is already opening, slowing things down for these guys right now. As a bigger gap is being opened up on Charlie Zan's side now. So he's certainly the cork at the top of the bottle right now, and Ayman Haziq is just looking for a way to burst right through. Still hasn't quite found it yet, though.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Zulkarnain he can't wait for race 2. He says it can't come soon enough because he wants it to dry out. As we look right at the back of the battle for 10th here between Jalil and Wong, with Wong all over the back of Nabil Jalil. But Scalvini still he's still holding up Martino, and that is enabling Saido Vea to stay in play here. Scalvini is desperately trying to build a gap to Martino so he can serve that penalty and come out in the lead. Is this going to be a situation where Scalvini is going to not serve the penalty and protest whatever it is, or does he have to come in and serve it? It's Raschke now next to pits.
Yeah, I would think no penalty.
There we go. As we just heard from the broadcast director there, no penalties. Oh, up the inside comes Jay Wong on the into turn 1, and there was just enough space there. Jalil really had to react in time there, and unfortunately got Thomas Raschke lapped down right in front of them. That is going to slightly hold up Jay Wong, I think, here. But so Scalvini is actually going to be allowed to stay in the lead. So the half a second gap he has over Luca Martino is the de facto battle for the lead then. And Saido Vea is going to be a little bit disappointing because instead of being inherited up to second, that penalty was a false alarm, it would seem.
Yeah, I mean, but at least he's still about half a second behind Luca Martino right now, so he's still somewhat in play. Sliding all the way there.
There, Addy.
Yeah. Oh, it almost collected Tengu Zan Lei as he came out back on track there, but fortunately it didn't really do too much damage there with that slide, so probably a lot thankful for that. Now, but Jalil in the meantime looks like he hasn't not gotten past Thomas Raschke quite yet. Look at Martino slides there. Martino into the wall, and he's completely facing the wrong way. All the other cars just passing him by now. He's dropped all the way down to 9th place now as John gets way past him here. Luca Martino, who took pole position early on, now finding himself all the way in the back here, all the way in the middle. Oh, just thanks to one tiny mistake and just finding himself in the wrong direction on the track.
And that was a fairly hefty whack into the wall as well. I wouldn't be surprised if Martino has a bit of damage from that as well, but that's turn 8, heel as they call it here. Watkins going, the race has certainly taken a heel turn here. Turn on his heel. As Scalvini now 7-8 tenths now ahead of Saido Vea. And Martino, this could be a big setback. We were waiting for I don't want to say waiting for misfortune, but we thought something was going to go wrong for him sooner or later this season, and it seems disaster has happened. Let's have a look at the replay then. Talk us through it then, Victor. See what happened.
Yeah,
here.
I mean, he was like braking in his downhill part here, and it looks like it looked really okay until I think it was around this exit here. Yeah, I think it was a little bit too early on the gas.
And you could see him struggling to save it on the exit there, but it was too late at that point. He had to agonizingly let the top 8 all just go through to avoid hitting anyone. And now Jan Lei, well, that's one position Jan Lei doesn't have to make up. 8th place for him. But Martino will be licking his wounds now, and now Via is all over the back of Scalvini. I think Scalvini's made a mistake in the meantime, so this just shows the top three are absolutely struggling on this track surface, just how treacherous it is at almost every corner here.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Wire's like, in the end, he still inherited a P2, although probably not in the way he probably expected. A bit of a touchy go right now on the outside of Draguna. It's still trying. It's still a drag race going on right now. All the way to this right-hand turn. Sidawaya takes on the inside. Scalvini's gonna have to give the space now, and that's given Sido a little bit of room, but unfortunately he couldn't quite pull through that as he gets a little bit loose on the outside. Scalvini will have the inside coming into this next corner. He takes the position back right now and stays ahead of Sidawaya.
Fantastic racing, and these two battling has enabled that man, Nurshas Lihan, to slowly inch towards him. He's only 2.5 seconds behind at the moment. And I think he could well and truly get himself into the mix for victory here, especially with Martino out the way and still down behind Zulquanin in 8th place. As I think Jan Lay has hit trouble because he's dropped down to 10th now. And here comes Via.
Yeah, Wire trying to go for a turn one more time. We're having a look at a replay here to see what happened with Jean Lay just now. It looks like he did make a mistake or somewhere here. A lot of cars going.
Went off and rejoined. Does he hit him? No, he tries desperately not to. And so it must be Lay trying to go around the outside here. Yeah, just gets around one, and so Sharik just didn't see him in time there.
Yeah, so unfortunate. But again, you can see like it was so chaotic going into that section there with a couple of cars going wide there. I think John was like having played dodgeball throughout the whole that. Sidawaya going alongside Salvini. He has the inside this time around and will close the door on him before they even get through this corner now. So Sidawaya currently in first, Scalvini in second as they come up through the toe of the boot, now coming to the heel. And I think Sidawaya is still looking pretty good right now. Still actually keeping Scalvini very behind. A bit of a slide there for Scalvini as he comes out the exit there. But it seems like Wire just might have done it. He's taking the lead of the race now with 11 minutes to go.
Yeah, but look at the line Scalvini is taking. Very different to the ones that Via is. So Via set himself well to get the slipstream down the back straight there into the outer loop of turn 5. But look at the way, and now they've got, is that Zini battling with Hazik for position? So Zini, he's got himself past Hazik, I think, at some point in this race. And they've both gotten through past Mohamed Zikri, of course. So I think Zini having a very, very good run in the 31. And Hazik desperate to get back through. So it's pretty even, I think, in this battle for 4th and the battle for the lead. It's these two freeway battles. So we're being absolutely spoiled here for Joyce at Watkins, Glen, aren't we, Victor?
Yeah.
10 minutes left to go.
I mean, Haman Zeke seems to be struggling actually in these conditions right now. His last lap was a 2-minute. Oh, Scalvini is so close there to Sidawaya. He wants to take a slipstream. He has a slipstream actually coming down the main straight here. Sidawaya taking a very defensive line right now as Scalvini tries to take around the outside. Very tricky here, especially in his first corner. Oh, he overcooked it. He slid out. Salizan almost collects him, but then Salizan still gets through. He inherits second place. Scalvini now having to turn around. By the time he does, he's already down in 7th place.
Yeah, still ahead of Martino, luckily. There he is, just coming.
Oh yeah, it's still, yeah.
So Scalvini should be able to get, unless he goes off here, should be able to get a decent enough run to hold on to that 6th position. But that just that happened because Via nearly dropped it at the final corner, and Scalvini almost got that a little bit too close, and the rear started going round, and he couldn't turn the steering wheel quickly enough, and the front wheels were just pointing the wrong way. As Hazik swarming all over the back of Zini like a pack of angry bees with Zikri alongside him, and Hazik is through at the outer loop. So Zini just goes a touch wide at the apex there, and now he's going to be stranded on the outside here as they go into the chute.
Yeah, still battling it out, but Zini's done it. He's gone onto the grass, and unfortunately will have to rejoin the track here, it looks like, as Hazik pulls away, and Scalvini now inherits the place. Zini now drops down to 6th position, tucks in behind where Scalvini is right now. But at the moment, it just goes to show that, you know, even if you're in the top spots, Zikri's just fun. Zikri is already spun, and he's unfortunately dropped down. Seems like it's just really difficult to survive even a lap here right now, and these guys are just sliding all over the place, losing positions here. I think even if you're in the lead here, just it's still not guaranteed you're going to be able to finish the race unscathed.
No, not at all. It is absolute battle for survival there, as this is what happened to Via and Scalvini. Chaz Lehan, I think, has got the right approach to sit about a second behind the leaders to let them all spin into one another. Look, Via loses it really early mid-corner, and that is what enables Scalvini to get into the slipstream. They both go to the inside. Scalvini's still following in the slipstream, and then Scalvini pulls out to the left. Via just holds the middle of the road. And it's on the outside, going offline, that Scalvini, the rears just start to spin up, and he can't hit the brakes soon enough. And Chaz Lehan says, "Oh, thank you very much. I'll inherit that second position."
He did hit
Lehan, if Via keeps spinning like that at the final corner, he might even win it. Scalvini goes off again.
Yeah,
and that's the final corner.
Everyone's spinning out here, ladies and gentlemen. It's a very, very chaotic race.
The fifth, incredibly. Only a second behind Zini. So Martino, with that one mistake, because of everyone else's mistakes, he's been able to keep himself in play. Chaz Lehan continuing to just keep the pressure on Vias. Nabil Jalil has hit trouble at the final corner as well. It's absolutely treacherous. It's like a running river there. There was an update to the game not too long before this race started, and I think maybe the handling characteristics is starting to catch people out. Zulquanin has gone into the pits now as well, so it looks like Sharik might be retiring from the race, or at least having a massive setback from it with just under 7 minutes left to go. But it could all still change, Victor, as Chaz Lehan is getting within a second now of Via, I think.
Yeah, I think
Via's made another mistake.
Yeah, he's really slow. He's really slow in that corner there. So we cut to a replay right now to see what happened with Scalvini here. He's and Zikri. Oh, okay, this is where Zikri actually spawned there, and he almost collected Zini there. As a result, luckily he was able to dodge out of the way.
Victor, why was Zikri trying to save that one? Because he was going squirreling all over the place, but never mind that. Chaz Lehan is right in the wheel tracks aside Via. Chaz Lehan, who's just kept himself to himself, slow and steady, and now in these treacherous conditions, he has profited, and now Saido Via is going to have to fight like crazy to keep him at bay.
Exactly, and he has a slipstream onto him now. Taking on the inside, he's having a look right now, but only just a peek, unfortunately, as the wire still has his lead coming into turn 1, but Shalizan knows it's going to be a matter of time before he can keep it up there, because Zeta Wire taking a little bit outside onto the curb there, cuts back inside for turn 2 to cover up Shalizan, but Shalizan is not going to be abated at all. He continues to keep the push there. He sees Ezan laying ahead there as traffic, and he senses this could be an opportunity for him to keep the pressure on the Zeta Wire, and to see whether or not he could be able to force him into another era here. But again, with these treacherous conditions here, I wonder if Shalizan is going to be able to pull this off nice and cleanly, or will we be seeing another car spinning off on the track?
Yeah, I think Chaz Lehan just knows he needs to get the pressure, and his Via goes really, really wide on exit there, and that is again going to compromise his speed into the chute here, into turn 6. And again, side of and now it looks like Zanley has completely dropped it, or somebody has. And now Via has got Chaz Lehan going around the outside of him, flashing his lights at him. Chaz Lehan wants to come through immediately, as Zanley can't get out of the way quick enough of the pair of them.
Yeah, it's gone.
Somebody else who dropped it. It was Zulquanin, I think.
Yeah, I think there was another car there that's lost his spoiler actually, as he's parked on the side of the track there. Sharik Zulquanin just coming out of the pit lane actually has not replaced his spoiler. So
he's in a 10 for Via, and he's through. As we're watching this replay, apologies, ladies and gents, but Chaz Lehan takes the lead from seemingly nowhere in this race. There he is. So through turn 8, he's made the move, but Via is still right behind him and trying to barge him back out of the way.
Yeah, I mean, this battle, we just got to keep watching this right now because it's still ongoing right now. See, the wire is still closing up to Shalizan. They can potentially still fight back for the lead here. Shalizan, even though he's in the lead, as we've seen time and time again, it's still not necessarily the most secure spot. You can easily, from one mistake, you find yourself facing the wrong way on the track here. We're going to be cutting to yet another replay. This is the move that Shalizan managed to do, round the outside to see the wire here. And he does it so cleanly, so perfectly there, taking the outside line and just able to carry so much speed there compared to see the wire.
Yeah, and full credit to Via, he could have understeered him off track there, but he absolutely played it fair. And Chaz Lehan, if you look every single lap, he seems to gain confidence, doesn't he? Via still with the fastest lap, 157.28. But Chaz Lijian, his last lap, 159.9, Via 2 minutes 01. So Via has really maybe burnt through the wet tires a little bit. It's only, despite appearances, it is only 50% wet at the moment, and it's going to stay that way to the end of the race. And some of the cones have been knocked onto the path of the track there from one of the back markers. I think it might be Wong or Zulkarnain, who have just retired, unfortunately.
I'm not surprised at all to see those cones on the track there. Certainly a lot of people have been slipping and sliding off of the track pretty much through the entire race here. But Shalizad knows that if he can just hang on for the next 3 minutes here, he will be guaranteed a race win here as long as he stays in the wire and he does not end up spinning out on the exits just like that. But nevertheless, he still hangs on for dear life here. No, Shalizad still in a lead here, ladies and gentlemen, with less than 3 minutes to go here. It is absolutely going to be a test of endurance right now for these drivers.
And with Chaz Lijian leading and Martino 5th, that's got big implications in the championship, because that's going to put Chaz Lijian just within. I think Martino will still be leading if it finishes like this, but I think Chaz Lijian has maybe got a chance of taking that R10 Admiral away from Martino.
Yeah, perhaps.
I see the points though. So
yeah. Well, that's certainly on the cards for sure. As Zini right now continue to give the chase to Ayman Hazik.
We've got a battle for the podium here. Martino can still yet finish on the podium with Hazik and Zini both drop it, battling each other.
Well, there's still plenty of gap between the two of them, nevertheless, though, so no risk of them coming together, but still does not guarantee they will not spin out, especially on these very tricky turns 1 and 2 here. Watkins Glen, you can see Azan Lane now about to be lapped here by Ayman Hazik as well as Zini. I got Luca Martino just lurking in the back there, kind of like a tiger in the brush right now, just watching this battle unfold for the podium here and just getting ready to pick up any scraps should this battle turn out for the worse here for both Ayman as well as Muhammad Zini. But nevertheless, the two of them continue to soldier on through these conditions here. 1 minute 20 seconds left in this race here. I think Shalizan is already building a 1.3 second gap to side of wire, so I think he should be quite secure as long as he can stay in that position here, and as long as he doesn't spin out with the in the penultimate minutes of this race here.
Yeah, do you remember race 2 at Zandvoort where Chaz Lijian was, I think, about 75% into the race? Martino just overtook him in the reverse grid. Chaz Lijian, who was so good in the wet, nearly got back through, and then I think made a mistake into turn 1. I think he's really made amends for that so far with an absolutely excellent drive from, I think, was it 4th or 5th on the grid, isn't he? He's let everyone else get into trouble ahead of him, and then when Via was vulnerable, he absolutely went for it in a inspired move around the outside at the exact same place we saw Martino drop it as well. So on the evidence thus far, Martino, he may have one watch, but the second watch looking a little bit more in doubt as is he going to be able to get another lap in? I think he will have to, otherwise the Via's coming through, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so, because like we still have 17 seconds left. He's already coming around to the pit entry here, so it could be another lap here as Shalizad comes across to the main straight now.
Via gets very sideways again and just saves it. But there we go, he crosses the line with 4 seconds left to go. So this means everyone a lap down is not got too much further to go, but Shazia, that final lap just needs to make sure he doesn't lose it at turn 1. And Via pushing on to try and keep that little bit of pressure on and hope that, but he is nearly 3 seconds down now. The big battle is 6 tenths between Zini and Hazik. So Ayman Hazik, who has driven a very, very tiny race so far, has got to keep Zini at bay in this final lap here.
I'm just like looking at the way Shalizad is taking that turn 1 and 2. I'm just surprised he decided to go on the curb like that. I mean, especially in these wet conditions. Are you kidding me? Getting on the curb like that in real life, that's a recipe for disaster for sure. But nevertheless, Zini, he's getting a little bit of a toe off of he's lapping Zanlei. Sorry, thought he was getting a pass there. But he tries to get it. He did him on the inside as Zanlei goes spinning there. Although it seems like Zini is still able to keep on rolling, so he just continues on without looking back. Zanlei, unfortunately, having to rejoin the track now, but doesn't really compromise his position too much, though. He's still 20 seconds clear of Thomas Raschke right now. I'm on Zeke, though, not abated at all, and in fact, that's actually helping him here because Zini now is still like 1 second down from Hazik here, so I think Hazik should be on for a podium position here as long as he can still survive this final lap. And speaking of which, Shalizad, where is he at right now? Let's have a look at the replay here to see what happened here. So he saw Zini as well as Zanlei going alongside. Did leave a big gap, but it seems like he closed it a little bit too early there, thinking probably that Ezan was going to give him space, I think. But I think a little bit of a mistake there, I think.
Yeah, only one corner to go then for Nur Shazlijan. And here we go. It's going to be, I think, his second win of the season. Here we go. He crosses the line to win race 1 at Watkins Glen and put himself right into championship contention then here in the Hot Rocket Porsche Series.
Yeah, so the Wire takes second place and certainly be relieved that this lap is over. Now Ayman Aziz takes the checkered flag in third place ahead of Mohamed Zini, and in spite of the touch and go there with Ezan Lay, still is able to finish in fourth place, which is good for him. Luca Mattino should be coming through, and yes, he does, taking fifth place overall here on Watkins Glen. Gianluca Scalvini was looking for a podium position here. Unfortunately, thanks to a couple of mistakes during this race here, has dropped down to 6th, but still finishes in the points nevertheless. Mohamed Zikri will take the checkered flag in 7th place ahead of Tunku Jean Lei, who is just about around the final quarter now, with Thomas Vasquez still 1 lap down ahead of him nevertheless, but Jean Lei comes across the line to take 8th place ahead of Jay Wong, ahead of Ali Daniel, and ahead of Nabil Jalil.
There we go, and I think then it's only Husni who's still on the lead lap then behind Daniel and Jalil. But yeah, you got to feel for Scalvini. It's a sort of case of what might have been for him, but still race 2 to come, and I think he might stand a good chance in that, even in the dry conditions, as there is Husni, who is going to be the last man over the line, with Ezan Lay and Rashk already having completed the race a lap down, and Husni's car not looking too healthy in the way it's steering. It's one thing driving in the wet, but it's quite another to drive with the steering bent as well.
Yeah, I can only imagine how difficult it will be in real life just to do that. Luca Mattino and Shalizan just exchanging a bit of glances as they know they will still be racing it on in the next one here, with Luca finishing in top there.
He's like drifting, he was keeping in reserve.
Yeah, look at that. No, he's doing that intentionally there. It's literally just having some fun here in the wet here, no doubt. But certainly a redemption day for him for sure, taking the win here in race number 1. Now for race number 2 though, it is going to be a reverse grid, but it's only going to be the top half of the grid that will be reversed.
It's the one mistake he's made all day so far. Let's hope that's not
fair enough, yeah. Yeah, so as I was saying, race number 2 going to be reverse grid. Only the top half of the grid will be reversed though. So next race, Luca Mattino will be starting ahead of Nur Shalizan, at least by like a significant margin here. I think like 4 grid positions ahead of him. So Luca certainly could still gun for some points here to at least make up for the disappointment that was race 1 for him, no doubt. But for Nur Shalizan, certainly he's just celebrating right now, having won this really tough and almost a race of attrition here for everyone, where just surviving a lap here is pretty much an achievement in itself. So very, very well done here to Nur Shalizan from pulling it through and taking the win in the end.
Yeah, absolutely, brilliant drive. I don't think I can. Thinking back to it, I can't think of a single thing that he did wrong. Really, he just let the others make mistakes in front of him, and Via, I think, quite sensibly decided to bank a second place there, rather than fighting too much. The gap it was 2.8 seconds, I think, in the end, in favor of Shazli Jan. And there it is, a reminder once more of the Revelo R10 Admiral. And I think we're sort of with only a one race and then 2 more rounds, so we've got 5 more races to go in total then, Victor. So the championship, we are getting to the business end. I was just starting, we're over the halfway point now.
Yeah, as the 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton once said, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon, and it's going to be a marathon to the very end here, ladies and gentlemen. But we're still in just the halfway point here of this championship, ladies and gentlemen, because this is the 3rd round and the second race is going to be upon us very, very soon here. The Revlot R10 Admiral, of course, is the prize in the eyes of many of these drivers here, particularly those who are gunning for the championship here for sure. But the additional prize here of the Revlon R8 Racer, that one is certainly going to one guy, and that's going to be Luca Martino. 3 pole positions here in this championship, and certainly a well-deserved one for him.
Well, that explains why he spun it at heel. He was too busy staring at his lovely new watch. I'm kidding, Luca. I'm sure you were paying attention.
Yeah, I mean, it's again like extra motivation for all these guys, pretty much. But with Luca already taking down one, it's only one more watch to go for sure. But yeah, wow. I mean, just thinking back about that race, that was insane. Just the amount of drivers that struggled so hard under these conditions. They're certainly going to be a bit relieved that race number 2 is going to be dry, so we're going to be likely seeing a lot more cleaner. I would say cleaner-ish racing here, but nevertheless, with Watkins Glen being as it is, and with these 992 Porsches being really tricky cars to handle, especially at speed, this is certainly still going to be another challenge here for the drivers, but hopefully a little bit less mistakes coming around this time with this reverse grid.
Yeah, the other thing though is that they've done most of their qualifying practice and the race 1. It was all wet, so this is the first time in the dry. So they're sort of having to learn the circuit all over again in a way. Although I'm sure when most people practice Watkins Glen, when they were practicing beforehand, it probably would have been in the dry because we didn't know until what was it? A couple of days before the race what the weather was going to be in the end. So
yeah.
Most likely they would have hedged their bets and practiced in the dry because that's usually about 60-70% of races take place in the dry usually, especially even more in the Middle East where it never rains.
True.
But anyway, Watkins Glen, it's certainly seen its fair share of rain, and now we're going to see some sunshine, and potentially this is going to be I think with 17 drivers taking part, we're going to see the top 8 reversed, if I'm not mistaken, Victor.
Should be, because
in the case in pole position.
Yeah, because in the case of an odd numbered grid, they will still round it up to the closest the higher number basically. So I think in the 17 grid race right now, it should be only the top top 8 or top 9. I think it's going to be the top 9. I think that will be reversed.
Top 9, okay.
Yeah, because divided by 2 is going to be 8.5. Round up 8.5, it's going to be 9. So yeah, that means everyone else from basically, if I can. Oh, I think the timing screen has just been refreshed right now. But again, yeah, it's going to be the top 9 positions that finish from race number 1 that will be reversed. So that means Noor Shalizan will be starting in 9th position. Can't remember who finished in 9 just now. I think it was behind John Lay. John Lay was he finished in 8th place there, so he's going to be starting on the front row, no doubt. But yeah, that's again when you have a reverse grid like that, it's mostly going to be a test to see how many cars you can get past, especially if you're the top 3 from the previous race itself. So you're going to be certainly seeing whether or not Noor Shalizan will be able to get himself up into the front of the grids here by just leapfrogging off of everyone else, or it's going to be held up by some of the guys like Luca Martino, like Cedar Wire. Are they going to be giving him a hard time, trying to get through them? All these kind of permutations certainly can come out in the second race here. But again, with Watkins, just having to mention this, but Watkins Glen is such a beautiful track to just look at for one. I mean, I especially enjoy just the level of elevation changes that happen in these tracks, which a classic feature on a lot of old school tracks, and Watkins Glen is certainly one of them.
Yeah, it's near a waterfall in New York State. Hence it's called Glen, because it's all sort of in a lovely little field, essentially. But yeah, it's like I said, a very old school track, and it's a sort of we see so many street circuits in the United States these days being put onto motorsport calendars, and it's nice to sort of go to a track that, much like Road America, actually, it feels a bit more like it's out in the country a little bit more, like it's a bit closer to nature. But anyway, we have just been sent a confirmation of our results from race 1.
Mm-hmm.
So the interesting one to watch for me, to be honest, is Jay Wong, I believe, who is going to start on the reverse group pole for Biff race Racing ahead of Jan Lay, Mohammed Zikri, I think Scalvini, Lucas Scalvini starting in fourth is going to be one to really keep.
That's going to be the grid positions as it's coming out on our official timing monitor over here right now. So yeah, we'll have to see how these drivers will handle the reverse grid later on here. But yeah, as Ed rejoins us right now, I think we are going to be looking forward to how these drivers will try to handle this second race here, especially in this reverse grid.
Yeah, any better now? Sorry about that.
Yeah.
It's just in this heat, my laptop, my CPU is just absolutely messing up, and I think the internet connection here isn't too good either.
Yeah, well, it's all good.
I'll do the
it's
best I can. Yeah, okay. Seems to be a bit better now.
Yeah, at least it came
just,
back just in time.
Yeah, well, I had to go out and go back in. But anyway, it will be interesting to see how our top runners from race 1 make their way through in race 2. I imagine they'll just, Zulquanin absolutely goes as wide as he likes, to the point he just brushes the wall completely at the final corner during the warm-up, which is certainly a case of adjusting to the higher speeds you can get away with in the dry compared to the wet. But yeah, almost a little bit too much speed carried into turn 1 there, and he had to sort of back out.
I mean, I think these guys are just raring to just like push the limit right now in this dry condition, see like what's going to give from this car here, isn't it? But I think just having to make the mental adjustment from like having to run a wet race where you have to be very ginger on your throttle and brake inputs to now just basically going all out on track here. So I think it's certainly going to be quite an adjustment here for these drivers to get grips with, and with only like 5 minutes of warm up, certainly not going to be enough for them to figure out where the limit is on every single part. That's certainly going to be a bad limit there for sure. Charlie Zahn sending Zini into the wall there. But yeah, again, these guys just making the most of their warm ups here, just pushing these cars right now.
Or not, as it may be the case.
No, that seems like, yeah.
My goodness, let's hope he doesn't do that in the race. It would certainly take the shine off that race 1 victory in the wet. Like, mastered the wet, but then just forget to brake in the dry, yeah. Hero to zero stuff there. But, hopefully he's got it out of the way now, and he can behave himself a little bit more as we look at the two Lay siblings just following each other around. The older brother, Jan, leading Tenku Ezen around. And Tenku Ezen, I think, just getting some laps under his belt, trying to get the experience that he needs of these circuits in this 992 Porsche GD Cup car. And certainly, even though he got lapped and was at second last in the order, just only ahead of Thomas Raschke in the end, and with that late collision as well with Zini, which I'm sure won't put him on his Christmas card list because it potentially stopped him challenging for third there. But Ezen Lay, I'm sure, will be feeling a little bit more confident in the dry, where it should be a little bit more straightforward for him. Not easier necessarily, but more straightforward, because he's not got to worry about whether he's running too much over the curbs and going to lose traction instantly once he gets on the throttle. It's a bit more, not a level playing field, because the wet does that. It's more of a stable track surface to play with here, is the word I'm looking for. So Ezen Lay, and it's lovely to watch Jan just leading him around, showing him the ropes, and it's good to see that sort of sibling camaraderie between the two.
Oh, yeah, the two of them constantly compete on like sim racing tournaments all the time. As on Lei especially, while John, is obviously more busier with his like real life professional racing career for sure. As on Lei has been picking up a lot of honors himself, just taking part in a lot of sim races here in Malaysia.
Do they call him the Drift Prince by any chance? And well, his older brother's the king.
No, I mean his older brother is the Prince of Drift. That's the thing.
Okay.
he's
What's the level
second
below
brother.
Prince? Like Archduke or something? I don't know.
No, 'cause the King of Drift is Keiji Tsuchiya. He's in Japan. Prince of Drift is Tenku Jan because he's an actual prince. So yeah.
Of course. There we go.
There we go. Yeah, Tenku is like the honorific
They're
title
both
for.
princes then.
Yeah, they're both princes. I mean brothers.
Same
Yeah,
family, right?
Same
Yeah,
family.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like you get your princehood title revoked if you don't get enough top 3 results or something.
I don't know. maybe between the two of them, they might be chasing that Tenku title just based on how many races they won off each other. Then maybe.
That you got their dad who's like, come on, which one of you is going to get the watch? Somebody's going to beat Luca Martino. Bring me the watch and I'll give you all of my kingdom. Nah. Even Malaysia isn't that tribal, I imagine.
No, but it's all in good fun, for these guys here. I mean, yeah.
Look at them, all huddling together.
Hey.
They're going to start campfire soon.
Yeah, so that should signify the end of warm-ups right now. I think we still got a couple of guys out on the track here. Sharping's 9, showing off more of his drifting skills once more. Or is
And into the wall.
Yeah, it's into the wall there, unfortunately.
And blocking the track as well.
Well, it's all good. It's just
10 out of
warm-up.
10 for effort, but minus several million for execution.
I think I will certainly I would love to ask John like how many points you'll give him for that drift there for sure, because
It's so nice of these guys to give up their time on this Le Mans weekend.
True.
Their drifting skills.
I mean, speaking of which, we have. I mean, we're seeing right now the 992 Porsches on track here, and it mentioned that Watkins Glen has been the home of motorsport racing in America for some other series too. But it also just boggles my mind sometimes that even NASCAR does use the Watkins Glen as one of the road courses. I mean, how do you even handle a car like that on the track like this? I just cannot imagine.
Think that's bad. You should see us doing 6-hour endurance races with multi-classes.
Oh no.
6 hours at the Glen, yes.
6 hours at the Glen. Oh no. And yeah, it's crazy. I love it. I love the crazy. I love the wackiness of some of these kind of races here, and especially it's watching the NASCAR road races here is always a bundle of fun because these guys basically constantly just bumping and rubbing each other the whole lap long. So yeah,
we saw a lot of side by side between Shazli Jan and Via, didn't we? And Martino and also not forgetting, I think even Scalvini had some side by side as well. So we had 4 guys going side by side for quite a lot of that race.
Yeah, I love
somebody
it.
getting a bit too close, but they were trying to go 3 or 4 wide into turn 1, I think, which was probably not wise. We're probably going to see more of that because it's the Hot Rocket Porsche series, and that we're just used to that. Somebody just ends up going on the outside and just hoping for the best.
And that's the thing about this series in particular, because you got a whole mix of different skill levels. I think amongst the drivers here, you obviously have the full-time professional drivers, John is one of them, Shalizad as well, Ayman Haziq as well has some degree of real track racing. He's done track days as well. So, but then you also have just people who are just playing this for fun, Yong Jian, Ruben Wong. They're not full-time drivers. They're members of the Hot Rocket Club, but they just take part in all these kind of races whenever they can. So with that kind of mix, it's certainly means that there's a lot of variety of things can happen on the track there. It's not necessarily going to be looking like a typical high level race. It's always going to be a mix of unexpected things happening all around the laps here.
And it looks, unfortunately, like Thomas Rasch has had to leave to go away somewhere. So we are at the 16-car grid then. Shall I take you through? We got Jay Wong, who's going to line up in first, thankfully, with Jan Lei alongside him. Then there's Mohamed Zikri in third with Gianluca Scalvini lining up fourth. Watch out for lightning starts from Gianluca Scalvini. Luca Martino, our erstwhile points leader, is fifth, ahead of Mohamed Zini. We got Ayman Haziq starting in 7th position ahead of Saido Ver. Then it's Nurshaz Lihan, our winner in race 1, will have to make his way up from 9th ahead of Adi Daniel, who rounds out the top 10. Then it is Nabil Jalil in 11th ahead of Gareth Hunzi. Tengu Erzanlei will start 13th ahead of Ruben Vong. Then our final 2 starters on the grid will be Sharik Zulquanin and Yongjiang.
Yeah, so unfortunately with Thomas leaving us here, it's going to be a 16-car grid. Nevertheless, the top 9 are still going to be reversed anyway here, as the drivers again doing one last recce around the track here before they get into the grid positions. Again, given that it's going to be dry conditions here, so it's a little bit less loss of control, I hope, for most of these drivers here, but certainly not going to make the race any less chaotic, I expect, later on, because a lot of these guys, especially the faster guys particularly, are like smack in the middle of this midfield here, so we're going to be expecting a lot of overtaking action in that first lap alone, so that's going to be something exciting to see.
I'm not going to lie, though, if I was Janelay, I'd be a little bit annoyed with Thomas Raschke for not leaving earlier, because then it would have been the top 8 reverse rather than top 9, so it gives him an extra car in the form of Jay Wong to negotiate here. But I think Janelay, he seems up for the challenge, so he probably won't be he wouldn't be as vengeful and angry as I would, especially because Thomas is my driver, so I can't be too angry at him anyway. So of course, some more entertainment for us. The Jay Wong, beautiful opportunity here to score some good points here in the Biff racing car. As he can't see the grid spot there. It's a little bit difficult to see here. Oh, there we go. Though that's how unused to he is running up this high. He just hopes to slot in behind whoever's ahead of him. So let's hope he's got into the grid spot in time. Looks like he may have just been able to get the front wheels in, and so we're waiting for Yan at the very, very back to Yongjiang to get in, and then our 20-minute race will be getting underway then, Victor.
Exactly. Ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be 25-minute long race number 2 here. Dry conditions for all 16 drivers here, so less having to look for that wet line. It's going to be a go here as Jay Wong pulls way ahead of John Lea right now. John under threat from Mohamed Zikri has come through that first turn, but nevertheless he does have the inside here. He will try to hold on to that racing line as much as he can. Zikri goes a little bit too wide and drops a couple of places as a result. Jay Wong will continue to push through. He will still take the lead right now in this first sector. John Lea tucking in just behind him. Gianluca Salvini has managed to make himself up into 3rd place right now. Luca Bettino's also upgraded him 1 spot, so it's going to be a 4-way battle right now for this podium positions, as John Lea now has a run up against Jay Wong. He's going to have a look on the inside here. No doubt it's come down to the upper loop. It's going to be a downhill braking point here. He has to be very careful on the brakes, but he does it really well. Gianluca Scalvini as well, getting in on the action, takes on the inside and overtakes Jay Wong by the time to get through the outer loop.
Yeah, we go. Jay Wong being shuffled out in quick succession there, and now Martino trying to go round the outside then into the turn 5, but is kept at bay by Jay Wong, and Martino again trying to get up the inside into tow turn 6, but once again Jay Wong just holding the inside, and this allows Scalvini, who's made an excellent start as I predicted, to keep with Lei, and Jan Lei has got to keep defending that, only 4 tenths between the pair, but Zini has made an awful start, having been pushed wide at turn 1, and now finds Vaya and Shaz Lihan either side of him.
Yeah, Zikri right now having his hands full trying to keep to the wire just behind him right now, but it seems like Jay Wong is holding up everyone else from 4th place down, and now Luca Bacchino has a look on the inside. He will take the position away from Jay Wong right now as he pushes up to the top 2 here. Look at Martino already passed Jay Wong. See the wire now trying his very best to get through as well. I'm going to see no Shalizan. Joe Shalizan's already made up a place now to 8th spot. It is continuing to try to keep Ayman Hazik just behind him as it comes around to the main straight now. A little bit slipstream here for Ayman Hazik, now has a look on the inside of Shalizan here. He wants to try to take the place back, but doesn't seem to be able to get enough speed though by the time he gets to the first turn.
Awful first lap for Hazik because he's dropped from I think 6th or 7th down to 9th, as we see Vaya getting past Wong as well. So Wong just being continued to be, Jay Wong unfortunately just being shuffled down. He might still be able to get a top 7, top 8 out of this. Scalvini going for the lead on the outside then. So he's going to have to go the long way around. Jan Lei not making it easy at all. Who is going to break latest into the outer loop here? It is going to be Jan Lei.
Yeah, and again, not gonna be easy, breaking lane, but look at that, Luca! He takes the exit really well here, gets ahead of John Lane now, tries to close the door, oh, and a touch there to John Lane as he sends him into the wall! John Lane now trying to recover, but before he does so, Luca Matthew gets past, so does the Wire, he's now down in 4th place, he rejoined J-Wall now, trying to dodge him, so does ZD, but ZD gets blocked by John Lane, so he stays in 4th place right now, the Prince of Drift does, as J-Wall and ZD now fight it on for 5th place, just behind the Prince of Drift.
Yeah, and Chaz Lihan waiting in the wings behind these three, looking to take advantage. J1 looking still quite vulnerable, but I think Jan Lei should have backed out of that one on the outer loop because he just missed the apex of it and was drifting wide. I think if he had just chosen discretion as the better part of Valor, then he could have kept second behind Scalvini, as it's all getting very hectic now, with Chaz Lihan getting ahead of Sulquanin, and now chasing after Zahini for 6th.
Yeah, and with Jay Wong still continuing to try to fight for his position here. Now Zini has already gotten past him, but he's holding up the other cars just behind him. Zaka 9, Nurzadizan as well, attempting to try to find a way past, but still not able to get through to Jay Wong quite yet. You can see the whole mess of cars right now just building up behind him as they attempt to try to get past through this first turn here. But nevertheless, Jay Wong will stay in that 6th place ahead of Zaka 9, but Shavik looking like he's taking on the inside here. He's going to be putting his elbows out, trying to force Jay to the outside now as he takes on to the 2nd turn. Is he going to be able to get through there? I think he has. Zuka 9 now in 6th place.
Oh, big crash! That's Daniel coming out of the pits. Is holding everyone up there. Oh, yeah, Addy Daniel really should have got well out of the way before then, because that's a really terrible place to be lapped.
That's the thing, he was just coming out of the pit lane, wasn't he? So, oh my god, wrong place, wrong time there for Adi Daniel as he almost caused a big one.
Lost out there because of that, because Hazika's got back fast in.
So yeah, so Alizan now back down into 9th place. Aman Hazik now ahead of him here in 8th place. Sharik Zoka 9 now having a nice gap to Zini is trying to catch up to him here, but while at the same time trying to keep Jay Wong just behind him. But it seems like that's not going to be too much trouble here as Ayman Aziz is now all over the dark blue Biff car and seems to be gaining and ever so much gaining onto Jay Wong right now. So it looks like he's on for 7th place here if he can just get past Jay Wong's car. But nevertheless, things are starting to settle down a little bit now, and without too much risk of lack of grip, thanks to the dry conditions here. Yeah,
the hitting Decree there.
I think so. Yeah, just off the camera there. Yeah, he was attempting to try to keep Zekri behind him. It looks like, and a bit of a touch and go there.
It was a mistake from Shaz Lizan at heel, funnily enough, which is the court he made that brilliant around the outside pass on Via earlier on. As there is Zekri, who does not look particularly healthy in terms of the steering, under threat from Jalil. As Scalvini lowers the fastest lap of the race again, but he's beaten by Via, 144.9 almost immediately. There he is, putting pressure on Martino then. So this is very, very interesting. Martino has not clawed his way to the back of Scalvini like I expected him to. Scalvini is starting to scarper away, and Via now starting to challenge for that 2nd position. Once again, he wants 2 top 2s, so Via, let's not count him out for the championship as well. I think Via may have also had a couple of podiums to his name this season as well. Yeah,
he's certainly going to be looking for another podium here for sure, given he's already in 3rd. As long as he can keep up with Luca, he will be able to keep in pressure for the next 18 minutes. And Jay Wall now under pressure here from the other side has come around the outer loop here. Luca Martino still trying to keep the wire just behind him. It goes a little bit wide in that corner there and looks like a little bit slow on the exit too. So see the wire all over his back right now, trying to keep the pressure going onto Luca Martino's car right now. Still not able to find a way past quite yet though, but it seems like it might be a matter of time. So Luca Martino having to pull every last bit of his talent here in order to try to keep the wire just behind him.
Yeah, Martino just not looking quite as confident as we've seen him in previous rounds. I think maybe what happened in race 1 is sort of slightly knocked his confidence, although he's done very well to make his way through the drama here at the very beginning of this race in order to get into the top 2. As you see more drama going behind, I think Jalil and Wong coming together there. But Saidovea now has just got to set himself up well for a move. But where is he going to do it? Probably onto the back straight, I would think. He's got pace really to get through at the moment.
Yeah, we're seeing a replay right now. I think this is another Jalil versus Zekri. Oh, Zekri! Lost control at the fastest point of turn 1 there. Not the best place to do so.
And it's very awkward because you can get spit out there at turn 1 because it is slightly banked as well. And look at Martino going a bit off track as well. And Via almost following him on there as Scalvini just continues to increase his gap to a 2nd position then. So Gianluca Scalvini very much making amends for his error early on, as Zikri sadly has had to retire then with Husni in the pit lane. And now Vire tucks into the slipstream on the back straight to try and get a run into the outer loop. But Martino very much has got his wits about him, and is not going to leave the gap open on the inside, you would think.
Yeah, it's pretty much he knows exactly what he's doing. Luca Martino does as a thing. So see, the wire is just gonna have to get so close there to Luca Martino. Almost had to stand on the brakes there, pretty much, in order to stay off of. Prevent himself from running into the back of Luca Martino there. So you can certainly tell that Luca actually struggling a little bit in this section here, and see the wire unfortunately not able to find a gap to get through, and he has to hold himself back a little bit. So it does seem like Luca is not doing too well right now. Is this going to be an opportunity now for Cedar Wire to make up a place?
That looks like Luca Martino just driving defensively there, because you saw Vire didn't really have enough space to dive up the inside of the boot there at turn 6. So that meant that Martino got the better exit, because he blocked, essentially just held up Vire at the apex there. This is sort of allowing Jan Lei and Zini to slowly reel their way back into that fight for the podium as well. So this is not ideal for Vire. He needs to get through pronto, and Jan Lei continuing to push to try and get back into that lofty position he held so early on.
I'll say the wire still continuing to try his very best, but Luca Martino just driving out of his mind right now, just keeping see the wire behind him this whole time, and a bit of a snap, a little bit of a counter steer there for Cito going through the first turn, and that's opened up a bit of gap now to Luca Martino through this first section. So relieving a little bit of pressure there, no doubt. As we look in the replay here, who is that off in the grass right now? That's Jay Wong, as he gets passed by number Jalil, and on the grass
down as well.
Oh, and they completely lost the brakes, locked it up inside the grass. No way he's going to be able to stop in time for the outer loop there. So into the wall goes Jay Wong.
And out of the race, sadly, as well. So that makes him and Ezan Lei our 4th and 5th retirements, although Husni got disqualified as well. So there's been a lot going on behind, but our attention is absolutely focused on Vire and Martino squabbling away over second position. It's not quite the side-by-side stuff we saw in the wet in race 1, but still, nevertheless, a very, very tense, very, very close fight, with Martino having to react to everything that's happening behind him. Is that Jan down in 11th getting a penalty as well. So that's a big shame for him. But he was a long way behind Wong either way.
Yeah, so I don't think, in the grand scheme of things, I think that penalty may not affect that much, but certainly for Luca Martino, he'd be hoping for something at least to keep Cito at bay, but so far Cito's just holding on to his rear end this whole time though, so it's not making it any easier for him. I think this should be, is it Ezan or is it John? I think this might be Ezan going into the wall there.
Ezan Lei, yes. Oh. So that's his race round, unfortunately. Maybe everyone just has better things to do and they're just bailing out of the back there. But because we haven't been going a while, haven't we? It was a surprisingly long race, all things considered.
True.
Then, but we have got the extra 5 minutes here to play with, and that's certainly music to the eyes and ears of Sido Vare, because he knows, I think, if he could only clear Martino, he might just be able to challenge Scalvini and potentially take another win and get his championship underway. Shazlijan has not already had things his own way, unlike race 1, has he? About 5 seconds behind Amir Hazik. That getting caught up with Jay Wong and a couple others has really cost him, and of course Adi Daniel coming out of the pits as well, who's himself had to retire. That really cost Shazli Jan any chance of getting up from 9th place. He's only gained 1 position then with 13 minutes left. So championship wise, still looking good for Martino, I think, at the moment. Vire is probably the main threat now.
Exactly, but the thing is that the whole time where they're still battling, Scalvini is still going to be widening that gap now. Early on it was like under 4 seconds, now it's already 4.2, 4.3 seconds, so every lap it seems like Scalvini is going to be able to gain 2-3 tenths, so that's just adding more pressure now for Cito Wire to just...
It just keeps setting fastest laps, doesn't he? 144.8 last time around, I think.
Yeah.
Compared to Martino and Vire in the 145.6s, 144.9s for Vire. So Vire's still setting good laps, but he's got no space to set them in front of him.
Exactly. So the longer he's held up here by Martino, the less his chances going to be able to catch up to Scalvini here. So again, he still needs to try to get through, but look how just with his defensive driving right now, it's just making it absolute hell here for Cito Wire. Just constantly having to stare into the back of his car the whole time now. 12 minutes still to go though, so there's still plenty of time. He just needs to find an opportunity here somewhere on this track. It's just not presenting itself right now with the way that Luca Martino has been driving so far.
He needs to force him into a mistake, doesn't he? And look, Vire is setting himself up for the back straight here. Through the S's they go. And he's keeping right onto the rear wing to try and get right into the toe as early as possible. So here we go. But the problem is Martino is right on the fuel mix to try and make the gap as big as he can. There's Scalvini just having a bit of a Sunday drive up front. Now he's done all the hard work, isn't he? Only 3.7 seconds. He can't afford to slack off too much because these two will be on him like a ton of bricks if he's not careful.
Yeah, I think as long as he maintains a good delta, he should be in the clear somewhat, as long as Luca doesn't suddenly find some magic pace, towards the end of the race. But doesn't seem too likely, though. He's having his hands full for sure, trying to keep Cito Wire in his rearview mirror at this point. But Cito, in the meantime, still not able to find any gaps, still not able to find a way past this black Porsche G3. So it's still a long way to go for him before he can even think about challenging Scalvini for the lead.
Yeah, but you can tell Vire is starting to get a bit wise to these defensive tactics now, isn't it? He's not being delayed as much. When Martino goes a little bit wide into the boot at turn 6, he just, right, I'll just follow you along so I won't lose any time. So I think this is very sensible driving from the both of them.
Exactly. I mean, just keeping it nice and tidy for the last 5 or so minutes here. But the both of them are still absolutely going at it right now. Coming around to the final turn here, Cito Wire continuously trying to get a slipstream of Luca Martino's car, but still not able to find the speed differential needed for him to get past through turn 1. So he's just still going to continue to try and tuck him behind through this first sector here. And I think that pretty much is going to be the same pattern all throughout. Still, at least he's having the opportunity now to observe Luca's lines and to, like you said, basically quite a lot more wiser now to Martino's tendencies when it comes to defense here. So maybe it might happen somewhere in the last 5 minutes of this race here, but certainly Cito Wire might be just having his hands full here. Zini now having a run up against John Lay, almost having a peek on the inside, but John still having enough speed to catch him, carry through into this turn here, downhill right-hand sweeper as it were. Right now, John Lay still able to keep Zini behind here, still defending. Oh, a bit of a lockup there, almost goes a little bit wide, but John Lay still managed to keep it ahead of Zini so far.
Yeah, there we go. John Lay really under pressure here, and Zini, who's been stuck behind him for quite a few laps now, has started to get a bit of a hurry up in the Blue Steel Racing DSR car. And now you go side by side on the exit of the loop, but Zini is not quite far enough alongside to dive up the inside into heel into turn turn 8 here, sorry.
Yeah, John, though, he's got a little bit loose on the exit there, and that's going to be time now for Zini to pounce. Yeah, he is pushing it so hard, but Zini has the inside. He takes it away from John Lay as he loses out that position. A bad exit there has just compromised John Lay's position, so now he drops down to 5th.
Wait.
Sorry, I think we might have just lost Ed over there.
Because I hope to get back on the podium. Now Zini has demoted him further. And Zokwanin looks like he might spread the pain with Hazik not too far behind either. Yeah, not going to plan.
Yeah, still going to Keikaku, as it were, right now. But Zini currently in 4th position ahead of John Lay. Sharizoka 9 still trying to head off Ayman Hazik right now. He's done well to get himself up into 6th place here. But Zini right now has his hands full trying to keep John Lay behind. Again, it was a mistake on John Lay's part by locking up his wheels and getting a little bit loose on the exits that allowed Zini to take the advantage here. But John, I think, has been a lot has been up in pace there compared to Zini so far in this race here. So Zini, even though he's already taken a position here, it's fine that he's going to have a hell of a time now to try to keep it here for the next 8 minutes. Just got John just constantly hounding him behind, as Ayman Hazik still forcing Sharif to go cover him off on the entry of that turn there. But it seems like Zulkarnain still is able to keep Ayman Hazik just behind him.
Yeah, and Zulkarnain, let's not forget, started second last, 15th on the grid, basically, and he's climbed all the way up to 6th, so he's having a much better race too here, with Lei next in his sights if he can't get back in front of Zini. So this is absolutely crucial then for Jan Lei, as Zini going as wide as he likes at a heel to try and get a bit more, to try and straight line a lot of these corners as much as possible to get as much speed out of them. Martino, meanwhile, still about 3.5 seconds then behind Scalvini, so the pace is sort of stabilized in the 45s, low 46s then for Martino and Via. Behind these guys are all in the 47s essentially, with maybe high 46s.
Yeah, I mean, with Scalvini still like 3.6 seconds ahead. He's not definitely
146.1 for Scalvini last time, so he's certainly not setting the fastest laps like he was earlier, as Wong gets in front of Jalil for 9th position. So stuff by Ruben Vong, who's not had too much to shout about today, so that's certainly going to lift his spirits a little bit. Well,
again, with like so many DNFs right now, he's certainly looking for an opportunity here to get himself some points, at least in race number 2 here. But certainly Sharik is looking to try to keep himself in play here with Jan Lei, as he takes a bit of a toe off of him now, coming around the back around this straight here. Still having to keep Ayman Hazik behind him the whole time though, and certainly has his most of his attention focused in that regard, having to just cover off in every single corner here, just make sure that Ayman Hazik doesn't find any gaps for him to exploit here. But the whole time, like he's helped a little bit by John's car being much closer to him now, lending that bit of toe on the straights there, so that's allowing him to widen the gap a little bit to Ayman Hazik when it comes to straight. But it seems to narrow down as soon as they enter these corners here. So Sharik might seem to have a little bit less speed through these corners here compared to Ayman Hazik.
Yeah, meanwhile up front, Via gets past Martino. I was about to say he was about 3/10 behind, and Martino just holding him off there. But I was mid-sentence there, and there was no overtake, so I just got very excited. But Martino just keep it. So Via is really starting to fight with 5 minutes left to go. He's starting to get a bit desperate here, I think.
Oh so yeah, I mean,
the replay of that move.
Yeah, there's only 5 minutes left in this race here, so if Cedar Wire is going to have to make a move, he's going to have to do it around this time now, especially when the tires are already nicely used up here. And Luca Martino, no doubt, because he's been all over the track here, has been certainly using up a lot of performance in his tires here. Cedar Wire a little bit of a wider gap now to come through Sector 1. He's trying to close it up now with these remaining 5 minutes of the race here. But, you know, hopefully we get to see a replay of his attempt there onto Luca Martino, but it seems like he has to catch that gap once more, taking the draft off of him on the back straight here, coming around to his the outer loop here. Looks like Luca Martino still is able to stay just a hair's width ahead of Cito Wire, so that's making sure that Cito isn't going to be that close enough to attack him quite yet.
Yeah, and with so many retirements, it means not very much lap traffic for the pair to deal with. So that, again, plays against Fire, because there's less variables to spice things up and hold up Martino.
Yeah, it's just his best bet again. It's like if Martino makes a mistake, like a slip of the pedal, and just end up like locking up his brakes, and that will be the time for him to pounce. But so far, Luca has held up so well despite all that pressure for the last like 10 minutes of this battle here. It's just literally has been raging on, you know, so since the start of the race. Oh, he's gone completely wide now this time around. Luca Martino under threat here. Cito Wire tries to take him around the outside. Can't quite find a way past him. Luca Martino somehow elbows his way through and stays in P2. Amazing drive here from Luca Martino. He's still trying to keep Cito Wire behind. He goes a little bit wide through this section here. Oh, but Cito Wire still not able to capitalize on it too much there. Still has to tuck behind Luca Martino, coming around the final corner here. But it looks like this battle might be coming to a climax soon. Cito Wire continue to keep chase.
We've had to wait a while for this, haven't we? And finally it started kicking off again with Fire as Scalvini pits from the lead. What has happened to Scalvini? This is now a fight for the lead, Victor.
What? yeah, again, I was surprised to see Scalvini completely lost from the board, and then he's dropped all the way down to 8th. Now, this is going to be a battle for the lead here between Cedar Wire and Luca Martino. Oh, how the turntables here. I think a bit of traffic is coming up soon, but Cedar Wire takes a good toe off of Luca Martino now, coming around along the back straight here. He's going to have a look at the inside. Almost touches the lock, a touch of lock on the tires on the inside there, but Cedar Wire still is able to keep up with Luca Martino. Almost elbows his way true into the inside, but Luca still has the inside coming around his corner here. Cito is going to try to go a long way around. He's done this before here. Cars go a little bit wide now. Youngjan, a bit of touch there on Cito Wire, but he's somehow still able to stay on track there. Brilliant battles going on here as Cito Wire now still elbows his way through, still trying, still gets the door closed onto Luca Martino. He takes the lead of the race.
Brilliant stuff then from Cito Wire. That was brave, sticking it on the outside, running side by side with Luca Martino, and in the end he knew he had the pace. He'd been held up the entire race and finally able to get through round the outside at the boot. Fabulous move there, but what on earth has happened to Scalvini? You've got to think there's been some sort of penalty or something. Absolute heartbreak. He had this race 100% sewn up until that happened, and now this means Zini is going to inherit the podium as well.
Oh yeah, exactly. After having gotten past John Lay right there and then, he thought it was going to be the best of the rest, but look at that, a podium position just fell onto his lap. So this is Scalvini going into the pits here, getting no indication of why exactly he went in here. It might be a penalty, it might be some damage he had to do, but I can't really quite tell.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah,
it definitely seems not a standard pit stop, though. It definitely seems like some sort of last-minute thing. Maybe something came up on his end that required him to pit for fuel. Oh, he underfueled it.
He underfueled it. Oh, no.
That's gutting. That's absolutely gutting for Gianluca Scalvini.
Because the shorter, yeah.
Yeah, because it was 5 minutes extra in this race, and also he might have underfueled because the rest. Haziq gets past Jan Lay for 4th. Sorry, to interrupt myself.
Yep, Jan Lay now dropped down to 5th here. Haziq now trying to get chased.
He's abusing those tires. He's locking up into almost every corner, especially here in the boot and heel section.
He might have
just abusing those tires.
I think he might have flat spotted it earlier on in that battle against Zini, because I did remember him locking up his tires a lot while trying to keep Zini behind him. And it seems like now the chickens come home to roost here for John Lay. Let's have a look at the replay now as we see John, trying to keep Sharik Zuka 9. Oh, actually, they're lapping Sharik here. Looks like Zeke was trying to get past Sharik here first. How did they exactly get past John Lay
ahead of him as well?
Yeah, so I think they were being held back a bit by traffic. That's how they got bunched up together like this. John Lay was trying to keep Sharik behind him the whole time there. Yongjan goes way off the track there somehow, and he gets onto the grass. That's getting out of the way there, is allowing the other cars to come through. Ooh, but didn't quite see exactly where he got past.
Of events
I know.
The clock runs out, and I think Haziq crossed the line. That's in 4th, of course. So Vaya is still got to finish off the lap. There we go. Yeah. I got excited about nothing there. So Zeke desperate to try and get the podium off of Zini, but that mistake from Lay might have come a bit too late as Zulquanin is coming into pits. Looks like he didn't put enough fuel in either.
That's
now Luca Martino is making a last-ditch attempt then to retake the lead from Cito Vaya. So it looks like Martino, for the first time, he's going to walk away with no wins, but a pole position at least.
Well, this is going to be an interesting one for sure. Well, Luca Martino continuing to keep the push onto Cito Wire here, but again, last-ditch attempt for him in this final lap. Oh, he almost lost it. Almost drops it there. Cito Wire now certainly savoring that, because it's opened up the gap now between him as well as Luca Martino. So he's certainly happy that the pressure that he was experiencing is gone off of his back now. He just needs to keep his eyes focused on the road here, and he will be in for the win.
And Scalvini, to his credit, has not only gotten ahead of Salquin, he's got past Shazlijan, who's obviously been crawling around trying to get to the end of this race. So Scalvini has been setting blistering pace, but sadly, the strategy of not putting enough fuel in, it didn't quite pay out for him. So 6th will be the best he can do. But Vaya is going to take a very well-earned victory.
Well, I mean, I don't know if like fastest lap is still gonna give him a point because he still holds that fastest lap. Although that probably is because he's like underfueled, so a little bit lighter in
Yeah,
his car.
I was wondering how he got away so quickly. And here
No,
comes
right?
Side Over then. Victor in race 2 at Watkins Glen will go
Wow.
to the Zanshow Supersport driver. He had to wait a long time for the opportunities to have. Scalvini ran out of fuel, and Martino left one opportunity, and that was all Cedo needed to win that one. Fabulous
Amazing.
driving.
That was an amazing drive there from both Cedar Weeder as well as Luca Mattino. An amazing battle that been raged on for I think what 15 minutes straight at least. Maybe even 20 minutes if you count like the battle they were having for the podium position back when
I'll
like
tell you,
Scalvini is still in
is
front.
hoping this race was only 20 minutes.
Yeah, he was certainly prepared for a 20-minute race for sure. Shari Zilka 9 though, he's going to be coming across the line in 8th place. Ruben Wong gets himself into 9th place. A fantastic finish for the man here as I think Nabil Jalil and Yong Jen still left out on track here. They will be finishing in 10th and 11th place respectively. Nabil Jalil just about rounding up the final corner here. But man, has been an amazing round here, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, from the battle between Cedar Wire and Luca Martino taking 3 pole positions, now having taken the 3rd here in Watkins Glen, and then with the midfield battles as well, like Ayman Aziz, John Lay, and Zini just giving us endless entertainment from the podium positions down. This has been nothing short of a brilliant race here in Watkins Glen, isn't it, Ed?
Absolutely, and we're seeing confirmation then of the final results. Sido Vea wins after 15 laps after that brilliant side-by-side overtake with 3 laps to go on Luca Martino. Mohamed Zini takes his first podium of the season for Blue Steel Racing ahead of Ayman Hazik, who just gets Jan Lay right at the end. It's a case of what could have been for Lay, isn't it? If he hadn't tripped over, I think it was... Jay Wong that he had so much trouble with early in the race. Scalvini, another what could have been, but the Sim from Esports driver certainly impressed us today. He certainly impressed me. I don't know about you, Victor, but brilliant starts, some brilliant racecraft, and I think with a bit more luck, with a bit more application, he could well be one to watch in the future. And then we got Nershaz Lijan, our race 1 winner, who finishes 7th. Ahead of Zulquanin, another guy who had to pit right before the end. Ruben Wong in 9th. Nabil Jalil is 10th. Our final finisher will be Yong Jan, a lap down. Then it's Tinku Ezenlei, Jay Wong, Mohamed Zikri, Adi Daniel, and Gareth Hunzi, who was, of course, disqualified early on for being a bit of a naughty individual. But I'm sure we'll see him back in action next time. And the stewards have got more than their fair share to think about, I'm sure, Victor.
Oh yeah, I mean, you know, we've been so focused on like the battles going on in the front, which has been nothing short of brilliant, to be fair. But certainly a lot of chaos has been happening in the midfield that unfortunately we couldn't quite get to. But safe to say, it's still good to see that at least like more than 3/4 of the grid has actually managed to finish the race itself. So even though it's a dry condition here, somehow like less cars finished this race here compared to race number 1. It's just, I don't know what it really says here, but nevertheless an interesting sort of like observation nevertheless.
Well, that tells you more about reverse grids than anything else, I think.
Fair enough.
But anyway, I'm being so mixed up at the first few laps. But the big takeaway here is impressive drives from Via and Shazlizdan and Luca Martino making mistakes and not quite having things his own way, as we've seen so far this season. So as far as I'm concerned, it's a freeway battle for that R10 Admiral watch.
Yeah, again, it's only like 2 more rounds to go. We're going to be going on to Bahrain GP. That's going to be round number 4, and then the final round will be in Sepang. So there's still plenty of points on the table here for these drivers to fight for. But, ladies and gentlemen, that was the end of round number 3 of the Hot Rockets Porsche Championship here. It's been a fantastic couple of races here. Certainly a lot of entertainment for us here in the commentator's seat. Certainly been a pleasure commenting alongside with you again, Ed. Hopefully we'll be able to continue on for the next few rounds, Victor. Isn't it? Yeah, so Okay, that would be the end of the show for now. Thanks so much for all you guys watching us at home, and for everyone, just make sure to stay. Just go ahead and give a like to the Hot Rockets Facebook page here, so you stay notified when the next round is going to be live, and especially for you Malaysians out there, so you stay notified whenever Hot Rockets are having their own club events here in Malaysia. Until then, my name is Victor Cax. His name has been Edward. We have been your commentators here for round number 3. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.